Hey guys, it's Nana, and today I wanted to do my super late July wrap-up. So I kind of dropped off the face of the earth for a bit. It was totally unplanned, but if you want to find out why, I wrote a blog post about it, so you can check that out. I will link that down below. But bear with me as I get back into filming. I'm back in New York right now, and the light is good, and I just thought, why not try and film something? So this is like, I don't think I filmed in like a month, so might be a little rusty getting back in there, but I'm gonna give it a go. So I finished 4 books in July, and 3 of them were great, and 1 was not so great. So I'm gonna talk about that one last because it's the last one I read. The first book I finished in July was I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith, and I read this book as a buddy read with a few other booktubers, which was fun to be like chatting about it on Voxer. I think we were all reading at different paces, but I finished this one towards the beginning of the month. It's the story of Cassandra, who lives in the English countryside with her eccentric family, and they live in this rundown castle, which sounds cool, but Cassandra's like, actually, it's not as romantic as it sounds. And I actually really like the narrator of Cassandra. She really has a way of observing people and pointing out their characteristics in an interesting and funny way. So I really enjoyed her little commentary on everyone. And the story is told from her perspective. She's writing in her journal, and she's doing what she calls capturing the everyday events around her. So I really enjoyed Cassandra as a narrator, and I really liked the rest of the cast of the characters too. The way her family is kind of non-traditional and the way that everyone interacts I thought was really interesting. I think I enjoyed the first half a bit more than I enjoyed the second half because of the way the plot turns a bit, but overall I still liked it and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I started the month off with To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And I'd been meaning to reread this one pretty much this entire year because I knew Go Set a Watchman was coming out, and I haven't read this book since 8th grade, so I really wanted to reread it. And I ended up picking it up just the week before, and this is just as good as I remember. This is an American classic, so a lot of you have probably read this, or you've at least heard of it. But in this book, Scout is a young girl whose father, Atticus, is a lawyer, and she lives in the South in the 1930s, I believe. And there's a few things going on, but one of the main ones is the trial of a black man who's accused of raping a white woman. And we see the trial through Scout's eyes as she learns about race and starts to understand a little bit about race relations in America at the time. And this was just so good. You know when you reread a book and you can't quite remember how it is and you're not sure what to expect, but this was just as good as I hoped it would be, so I'm really glad I reread this one. The next book I read was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. If you guys were with me when I started my channel last year, you'll know that I started reading the Harry Potter series last year from start to finish. I basically had read a couple of the books before, but I'd never read the entire series straight through. So I started last year, and this summer I had books 6 and 7 left to complete. So I finally read the 6th book in July, and it was really good, as all of them are. The entire time I was like, who's the Half-Blood Prince? And I was trying to figure it out, and I don't know why I didn't see it because it was kind of obvious, but I really enjoyed it. So the big thing that happens in book 6 I already knew about, except that I don't know why, but I thought it happened in book 7. So after I finished book 6, I texted my roommate. I was like, did that really happen? I thought that came later. And he was like, oh no, that's right, that's true. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of you have read the series, so you know what I'm talking about, but I'm being cryptic because there are people like me who still haven't read it yet, and I don't want to give anything away. The final book I read in July was Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, and this is actually the second book that I've ever pre-ordered in my life. So I pre-ordered it and it was delivered on the pub date that Tuesday, but I happened to be traveling, so I really wanted to read it while I was traveling, so I bought another copy, which I left at home, and I don't have my copy here yet, which is why I can't show it to you. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So this book was written before To Kill a Mockingbird, but the events take place after. And Scout is older, she's about 26 I believe, and it's now the 1950s, and she lives in New York, but she comes back home at the beginning of the story to visit her father. And Macomb, Alabama is the same as it always was, actually, but the people in it are not how we remember them. So, I gave this book 2 stars. I didn't love it. I think especially reading To Kill a Mockingbird right before I picked this one up, it was just such a stark contrast. I didn't feel that the writing was up to par in this one. I didn't enjoy the story nearly as much. I'm glad I read it because I was definitely curious, but for me it didn't live up at all to Kill a Mockingbird, and that's okay. To Kill a Mockingbird still stands out to me as a great piece of literature, and Go Set a Watchman is like over there somewhere, but that's okay. So that is my rambly, kind of all over the place July wrap up done, but I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone who watches my videos and supports my channel, and thank you for bearing with me as I took a little leave of absence. I'm trying to get back to my regular schedule of uploading every Tuesday, so hopefully I can keep up with that. So I've been gone a month, so I don't really know what's going on with you guys. I'm so behind. In the comments below, tell me about what you read in July, or tell me about what you're reading right now, tell me about how your life is going. Basically, tell me anything you want to tell me. I'd love to catch up with you guys. Thank you again for watching, and if you want to talk to me elsewhere, I'm still on Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Snapchat if you're into that. I'll leave all of my links or usernames down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Knockoff by Lucy Sykes and Joe Piazza. That book is set in the fashion world. Imogen is the editor-in-chief of a women's magazine called Glossy, and when the book begins, she's had to